The opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and are not those of WSTU. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. The phone lines are open. Call in with your questions and comments at 220-9788. That's 220-WSTU. It's time for Stewart Laser Talk with your host, Dr. Tred J. Rosacker.
I'm 5'10" and 242 pounds.
I always say this is the biggest I'm ever going to be, and I said that like 20 pounds ago.
A third of Americans are obese. Another third is overweight.
Obesity is the biggest threat to the health, welfare, and future of this country.
I've always been overweight.
I've got diabetes.
Sleep apnea.
Heart disease.
Everything's hurting now.
It's a lot easier to lose weight than it is to keep weight off.
This is probably going to be the first generation of children who are going to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents.
18% of our children right now are obese.
It's not only health, it's about survival and well-being of the United States as a nation.
You don't crave broccoli, and our generation has grown up craving a Big Mac.
I want to think that there's something better for me.
Unless we're able to control this epidemic, we're going to have an abundance of chronic disease.
All of us have to be part of the solution to reduce obesity.
The weight of the nation is out of control, but we can fix that.
If we don't now take this as a really urgent national priority, we are all going to pay a really serious price.
Obesity will crush the United States in oblivion.
Hey. Oh, there's many microphones here these days. I am mic'd in many ways. Oh, it just fell out. Okay. All right. I am your happy, hyperactive chiropractor here today. My name is Dr. Tred Rosacker. I am, if I could spin plates, I'd be a master at spinning plates. You ever see the guy that gets the plates going and gets the other ones going? That's me. That's a normal day for Dr. Tred. How many of you can relate to that? You know, my list of 350 things that I have to do every single day to stay healthy. And I'm probably already at number 30 by now. It's almost, 9 o'clock? And I'm already well on my way to being healthy. I'm a doctor of chiropractic, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning into my live radio show here at WSTU. Hey, you know, we do have phone lines open. If you have a question that's pertinent to healthcare or wellness or something about your health, chiropractic, even COVID, I got a lot of knowledge when it comes to that respect. And the phone number here is 220 WSTU or 220-9788, and it'll get you right online. Just talk to Evan and tell him what you'd like to talk about, and we'll see if we can give you a space to share your stuff. So right now, radio, AM, WSTU, and WPSL radio is local talk radio. And what's really great about radio right now is there's really, other than this 8 words you're not supposed to say on radio, I think, that George Carlin had talked about, there's not a lot of censorship here on the radio yet. It's coming, trust me. But, you know, there's no way of Tom Dorsey or whatever his name is, Dorsey can't shut me off, or the guys from Google algorithm can't pop it through and say, he's been talking about things that we don't like. And radio is still here for you. So everything I share with you today is my own personal opinion, things I've researched, things I've looked into. I am a doctor. I'm a medical professional, a licensed healthcare physician in the state of Florida. I've been in practice over 33 years. Every day when I get up to when I go to sleep, I think about health. I think about how we can help bring healthcare to more people, how we can avoid people to have longer lives, to live longer, to be healthier, to have more positive attitudes, to not be dependent on medicine and drugs for sustenance, for life. You were given everything you need to be healthy. It's within you. And for some reason, we've been beating it down and pushing down the truth about that healing and health is an internal thing. It comes from within. And yes, there's always going to be genetic problems where certain percentage of people are going to die from genetic malformations and from trauma and from poisons and things of that nature. But those are few and far between, really. If you look at the cause of death and why people are sick and the lack of quality of life, poisons, trauma, genetic problems are few and far between. Less than 10% to 15% of all of our illnesses and diagnostic codes deal with poisons, traumas, and genetic problems. 80+% of health problems of diagnostic codes are come from what they call an autosuggestion, a internal mechanism within us, whether it was improper food or we're not exercising enough. We have fallen away from natural law of health. And as a result of falling away from those natural laws, our bodies over time develop illness. We can develop sickness. And in the beginning, we don't know we have it. That's the really amazing part. You can be in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, have massive arterial plaque going on, have massive coronary disease, have high hyperglycemia where your blood sugar's topping out at where you should be hospitalized, walking around. And if you haven't had any early detection, any exams or blood work done, and you haven't had your heart checked in a while or your blood sugar looked at, you don't even know you're sick. There's a lot of you out there that are right at that point. It's only at the end of disease, at the end of a health process, of an ill health process, do we start feeling symptoms? Do we start having, actual problems from it? And what happens is once we realize we have a problem, then we put our money, our time, and our effort, hopefully, into correcting it. And oftentimes, because we ignored it in the beginning, it's now what we call a chronic lifestyle illness, something that is not going away with an easy fix it. It's something that might require lifetime care, lifetime medication. And, this is where a lot of you are at. And you didn't plan it that way. You didn't get up when you were graduated high school and got married and said, someday I'm going to be on all these drugs. I can't wait. I'll have, I'll have health insurance and I'll be maybe get a pacemaker someday. And I'll be, make sure I have the best insurance because I have all of these health problems. And health problems are becoming a source of revenue and a source of income for a whole group of businesses and, industries and government agencies and, do-gooders in our world. Your health problems are something that people make a lot of money on. Let's put it that way. If you were not sick, if you did not have a health problem, if you did not need a blood glucose meter, they wouldn't be able to sell you one, right? There would be no business model. And, medicine and healthcare and hospitalizations and these clinics and these, these pharmacological agents and these big companies that make drugs and these rehabs and all of the support mechanisms that come in when we're sick, or there's a lot of money in it to keep this whole model rolling forward. It's a huge business. It's more, our national output for medical treatment and care is more than we pay out in Social Security, more than we pay out in any of the defense spending is spent on healthcare. And when healthcare used to be a third party, not a government healthcare plan, not something we're all being taxed for and then charged and run by bureaucrats, when healthcare was was a doctor and a patient who had an agreement between each other that, you're going to be my doctor. I need help. You went to college. You have the skills and the experience to help me get better. And that's a safe relationship between a patient and a provider. Where it's become very unsafe is this third party has gotten involved. Healthcare has become so expensive that to walk into a doctor's office to get an x-ray, to pay for a CT scan yourself, all of which should be reasonably affordable, has become out of touch with your ability to pay for it. It's become so exorbitantly overpriced that it's required a third party, company to insure you in case, God forbid, you should ever need to use that program, need to use medicine. It's incredibly money based, hugely so. And I don't spend a lot of time in the hospital. I've only been in the hospital, I think, twice in my life. One was when I broke my left arm skateboarding, and I snapped my my humerus. Yeah, I was a pro-am skateboarder, man. I used to compete around the state, and I broke my arm, and I ended up in the hospital for that. And then my next time in the hospital was never for me. It's always been for other people. So I don't spend a lot of time in the hospital. But about a month ago, my loved one, who I love greatly, has been developing some right flank pain. So this would be pain in the right side of where you could reach back and put your hand on it, like your muffin top around your back. And it's been associated with urine, going to the bathroom, urinating. So it's pain when, upon urination. And also there's times when it's okay and times when it's not. And to me, it was very suspicious of a kidney stone. Passing of a stone, because of the acuteness of the pain, and then the fact that it goes away so fast. And it did ended up being a kidney stone. But before we knew that, we went 5 days of treating it naturally, and it wasn't really, we wanted to make sure what it was. It could have been a tumor, it could have been other things, an infection. It ended up being a kidney stone, very mild one. But so we walk into Martin Memorial, now called Cleveland Clinic, and it's Tuesday morning, and it's 8:00. I get there early. There's nobody in the ER at all. The place is almost empty. We come in, we sign up, we tell them about the pain in the side. It's about a 2, and we go in, and they get us in the room, and the girl comes in and does a little history. They come in, they take some blood, and then the doctor comes in, who was on the floor. He asks some questions. He says, we're going to get a CT scan of your abdomen to make sure, see what's going on. It sounds like a kidney stone, but we have to be sure with the CT scan. So they wheeled her off, did the scan. About an hour later, 40 minutes later, he comes back in. I've read the scan. It shows that she has a small kidney stone, very small. It's on its way out. It's going to be passed. There's very little that you really have to worry about. Have a great day. He said, follow up with a urologist. Have a great day. And we were okay with that. Went to pay the bill, and they said, don't worry about the bill. She has some insurance. We're going to see what insurance pays. Well, it ended up happening was the insurance was not current at the time. It had lapsed for that small period of time. And basically, we got to pay the bill at the hospital. And the bill came 4 weeks later. So a CT scan, a physical face-to-face with a doctor, and blood work, and the use of the ER was $14,000. Yeah, $14,000. I was like, ooh, okay. I looked at it, and then I'm like, $14,000. So the CT scan, that's probably. So anyway, the CT scan itself was $10,000, 10.5. Now you can buy a CT scan out of pocket for about $800. No doubt about it, because I've done it. So, but they charged $10,000. And then the doctor's face to face with us was $2,500, and the blood work at the lab at Cleveland Clinic for a simple blood smack, which is checking for normal blood work, which is about $150 at Quest. They charged $2,500. So This makes it very, very unaffordable to go to the doctor. I mean, I'm a doctor and they want $14,000 for an hour and a half face to face. I mean, that's what some people make in a half a year. Right. And how can anybody survive and do this? So to me, this is what's created this COVID pandemic. Oh my God, everybody's wearing masks and fighting for vaccinations, or they did in the beginning, because medicine is so expensive and so you just can't really afford to use it. And I don't know why that is, because it shouldn't be that expensive. So one of the most important things that I do at the Slim Body Laser Spa, which is why I'm here on the radio. I mean, I'm not here to tell you about medicine and the problems with medical treatment, because for every medical success, there's a medical failure. So they have their benefits. But my message to me has always been something that makes a lot of sense to me. I read about the bubonic plague back in the early 1500s, when the bubonic plague it was called the Black Death. We've all heard about it. And it always amazed me that there's a certain amount of people that were there that did not die or get sick from it. They were immune to it. They were resistant to the Black Death. I mean, I want whatever they got. Let me tell you, if I was looking for the immune system, I want whatever that guy's got who's immune to it. So in all of sicknesses and disease and pestilence, which runs around this world, there's always going to be people that are immune to it. There's always going to be situations where somebody is not affected by it. And that's what I want to study. I want to understand, why is somebody, stronger, more, less virulent, less weak, ability to bounce back quicker, to be able to take care of those people. That's what I want from life. I want to be that resistant one. And it set me on a journey. It sent me on a mission after I graduated chiropractic college, and I realized that I had a license to study this, and I had a lot of education and training. I started to look into, what is it really that makes us healthy? What is it that, I remember the ounce, a stitch in time saves 9. I'm sure you've heard that. You pop a little stitch, you better put it in there before they all go out. And the truth is, if you can figure out the secret to health, and then what'll happen is you have a better chance at being healthy and not needing medical intervention, because medicine is intervention based. It's medical intervention based. It doesn't mean it's not part of everybody has to have it. It's not something that is part of food, water, oxygen, sleep, nutrition, sustenance. That's not what medicine is. Medicine is intervention. Medicine is an intervening methodology which tries to get in and make to somehow manage a symptom, or to help you with, it's almost a failed principle. I can't even really describe it. When you've lost your health because your eating has been so poor, and you're eating too much processed food, and you're not exercising, so your blood pressure is high and your blood sugar is elevated. It's called metabolic syndrome, and you're there, and then you go to the medical professional who you hope to help you, and they don't really do anything to cure it. They give you something to lessen the symptoms. They give you a pill to lessen the blood pressure. They give you a pill to help you to release the blood sugar. Hopefully, they'll give you some information about how to, overcome it. But nobody's really addressing the cause of the problem. So to me, that's a failed principle. That's a failed business model. If your business model is to cure people, right? If your business model is to find cures, to relieve people from suffering, to keep them off of drugs, to keep them out of hospitals, to give them a life with their family and where they can travel and have, that should be the goal of healthcare, not getting you on some medication for the rest of your life that will help moderate your symptoms. To me, that's bad business model. Well, it's obviously, but that is the business model, right? So the more you use it, the more you lean into it, the sicker we seem to get. It becomes a almost like a safety pin cycle. It just keeps going around and around and around, you know? And it all begins at birth, right? Where you hurt, did you have trauma when you were born? You know, was the first trauma in life comes from being pulled out of the mother's, out of the womb. Taking a kid, hanging him upside down by his feet and smacking him on the back, on the butt to make him cry. They don't do that anymore. They figured out that that's not a good idea. But one of the things that can happen with little kids is when they're very small, they can subluxate. They can lose the alignment of the bones of their neck, of their spine. And some of the symptoms of loss of alignment in children and infants when they're very, very small, the first thing would be colic. Would be a chronic, the stomach is not able to digest food properly. It hasn't developed enough. So they get very gaseous, very gaseous, gaseous. And that's called colic. And it happens to infants when they're first born. And within 1 to 3 months, the doctors will say they should grow out of colic as the intestines, they say it's a shortened colon or something. And yet I've had hundreds of children come into my practice in the 33 years I've been in practice with colic, and I've been able to help every one of them with an adjustment to the spine, to the lower spine, to the S2 segment, because the nervous system develops from the brain through the spinal column. And when a baby is born, that nerve system can be very easily injured, and the tailbone can put pressure on those nerves, which can create colic. And I make the adjustment and the colic gets better. Another symptom that children will show when their spines are out of alignment is severe allergies, chronic earaches, congestion, stuffy noses, above and beyond, the normal sniffles that children have. I mean, the type where they get completely congested, they get a fever, they're angry, their ear swells. These are pretty symptomatology that we see a lot of in children that have had maybe a birth trauma. They were pulled too hard by the doctor in delivery, or they could have fallen as a child, or even been picked up, improperly by a family member or a loved one by accident. I remember one of my clients set his 3-year-old up on the counter to write a check many years ago, and the kid flipped off the counter and right on his side. I was like, do not put children on the counter. Because they can fall off. So kids fall, and these symptoms lead to symptoms: earaches, colic, indigestion. You also see growth spurt problems. In other words, children who's out of alignment when they're young, they'll have pains in their knees, pains in their back. One leg might seem like it's growing faster than the other. They might be limping. These are issues which you really want to be under a chiropractic care for kids, because these issues, health problems in your adult life, begin in your little life. And that's just a fact for many of us out there. Now, as a result of that, my mission to find health, to look to be healthy, somebody asked me when Obamacare came around, this was about 10, 15 years ago, and Obamacare had come, and this new healthcare system had come in, and many of my patients and friends had come up and says, what should we do? What plan should we get? What plan do you suggest? And I looked at them very clearly. I said, you want a healthcare plan. Well, everybody's different. Everybody has different needs. Some people are very sick. Some aren't. Some are super healthy. Some are not. So you have to look at your overall use of the system as to what healthcare you want. But for me, my best choice is to not use the system, to not ever have to go in the first place. That the system, the medical system of, what it is can be very dangerous and can hurt us if we're not careful. So I want to stay out of that system as much as I can. And that's what leads me to what we're doing at the Slim Body Laser Spa. You cannot rely on your health insurance or your general practitioner or the doctor that your family has had for years to give you the advice to help you to be super, super healthy. That's not what their job is. Some doctors it is. The job of being super, super healthy is really a do-it-yourself problem. You have to do it yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you. The biggest failure in many of you all's health plan is you require somebody else to do it with you. You need a partner. You need a friend. You'd rather do it with your wife. You'd rather do it, with other friends. And those techniques do work to a certain extent, but it comes down to it's a do-it-yourself program. You have to do it yourself. I've been a doctor for 33 years. I've been single for probably 25 of those years. And I take care of my own health. I cook for myself. I make sure that my house is clean, that I have sanity, it's clean inside and outside. I make sure that I have fresh food and vegetables. I make sure that I don't eat too much processed food. My day starts pretty early. It starts about 5:30, 5:45, with two big glasses of water, two big 16-ounce glasses of distilled water. We need to start our day with water. If you're not starting your day with water, you're missing out on the energy that you get from fresh water. And then from there, of course, we use the facilities. I am 60 years old these days. But then I'll do my breathing exercise. I do my pranayama breathing. It's kind of like a yoga stretch exercise. We sit and you do some deep breaths. And then I go through about a 20-minute stretching routine where I stretch my knees, my back, my lower back. I do some spinal rolls on the floor. I do some yoga poses, which are too complicated to go into here. Basically, I spend at least 20 minutes stretching and moving and deep breathing until I feel like I'm kind of centered. At that point, I will have a high protein breakfast. I believe in protein for breakfast. I stay away from the empty carbs, the pancakes and the French bread and French toast and waffles and cereals. I don't do that. I try to do eggs. I try to do proteins. I do Greek yogurt, Chobane yogurts. I do smoothies with Greek yogurt and fresh fruit. I try to eat light in the morning, but I get at least 300 to 400 calories. And then at that point, it's kind of like I plan out my day. I have a yellow ruler, legal pad next to me that I keep by the table, and I write down my things that I need to accomplish that day and things that I didn't get off the day before. So I rewrite that list every morning to make sure that it's staying current. Even if I don't do anything on the list, I still have it. So I know kind of what I'm doing. And then I will definitely work on reading and watching something positive, something uplifting, something that, in other words, I'm not going to put on CNN and the mainstream media. I'm not going to put on something that's just going to beat me down and have me all fearful about, God, I need 3 masks just to drive in my car. I've heard they're dying everywhere. Everywhere there's people are dropping like flies. That's what they tell me. Yet I don't see it. But why would they lie to me? And I stay positive, man. I meditate. I'll sit 20, 30 minutes in a place that's a happy place for me, which is probably in the shade overlooking the river, or maybe out in the boat. I'll do time. I spend a lot of time self-reflecting on what's important to me and my family, and what I can do to help them to feel better and to lessen some of their burden. Part of our job as humans is to help other people to lessen their burdens. So I look at my wife and I say, what can I do to be helpful? And she usually tells me, don't complain and go to work. Okay. I can do that. So that's what my wife tells me. In other words, life is too short to be sick. Be healthy, stay out of the hospital, stay away from medications, you know, keep an open mind, go online, you know, don't get all of your information from 3 or 4 news sources. Open up your awareness, get some information from some other places. You might have to try a different search engine to get through the Google firewall, because you know there's a huge firewall with Google when you type in anything, any search term that they are now that they're sensitive to. You know, put in COVID, put in Trump, put in even Biden, any of these, and your information is gonna be throttled down as to what you're going to get from the computer. So I use something called GoGoDuck, or is it DuckGoGo? Yeah, GoGoDuck, and it doesn't cause you to be screened and censored when it comes to your search results. So you can look at different websites and you can read about make your own choice when it comes to this virus and this pandemic. So health is really, really important. So about in 2008, which was 11, 12 years ago, I was really thinking of a complete business change. I had been in practice for over 27 years and actually 24 years, and seen several 100,000 people. And I don't know, 2008, we had the Lehman collapse, and Bears and Stern went out, and everything really changed financially for us, just like what happened recently. And I decided that as a chiropractor, I thought maybe it was time to make a change. It was I wasn't having as much fun as I did when I first started. And as I started looking, I was thinking of maybe getting a real estate license. So many people in this area have real estate. They seem to do very successful with real estate. And I even went and I took some classes, and I looked at getting my captain's license over at Chapman's. I started on those classes. No, remember, I'm a doctor, and who would go from being a doctor to being a boat captain unless they were like a little frustrated with their life? And I actually was doing my meditations and doing my prayer, my visualizations. And something said, just hang on, give it a little more time. This too shall pass. My dad used to have a sign on his office desk that said, this too shall pass. And when you would come in and, oh my God, my problem is the worst problem in the world. Nobody's had my problem. If you only knew what my problem was, you'd understand too. And then he would put that desk magnet, it would say, and this too shall pass. And, that's a lot of truth in that. I met with a counselor many years ago in the early 90s when I was a little confused about what I wanted to do with my life. And I seemed like I had so many problems all the time. And I asked my counselor, who was a very smart guy, his name was Gary. I said, what bit of knowledge can you give me as a counselor of emotional problems with people for over 25, 30 years? If you had to summarize it in one little statement that I could learn from this, what would it be? And I always like to try to summarize it. And he looked right at me and he said, and this too shall pass. And same thing my father had put on the desk when I took over his chiropractic office. And this too shall pass. And he was absolutely right. That therapist, he said that when people come in to see him, their problems are unsurmountable. Sometimes they seem like they're the worst of anybody. Nobody's ever had this problem. Month or two later, with all the time, help, other things come into play, these problems pass. And he says most of them, all of them for the most part, pass over time. This too shall pass. This pandemic bioweapon, if you ever what you want to call it, accidentally released virus from the Far East, China, which is making its rounds and infecting every human on the earth. Believe it or not, this too shall pass. I'm giving it another year to maybe 3. And I would have thought, because what's going to happen is, our herd immunity is already kicking in. They're fighting that, it's already happening. If you have ever developed COVID naturally and you've overcome it, you have a natural immunity to it, which is far stronger than any of the vaccinations, by the way. And they've proven that. So, because, it's a natural response, it's not a spike protein thing. And as a result of these, you can be a healthier person. And that's really what it's about, is being a healthier person. So at the Slim Body Laser Spa, I was fortunate enough to be at a point in my life where I could devote a lot of time to the application of the laser and how it can help people to shrink belly fat, and how we can also use it to help people to be healthier, to live longer, to have more quality of life. As my next hour host is going to go over, the Gary Owens show, he talks about quality of life. And let me tell you, if your quality of life is having to deal with a 40-pound belly that you drag around, and it's, you go to sleep with it, you wake up with it, you roll over with it, you have to look around it to find your feet, that quality of life starts to drop. It starts to get less and less. I think that most people will look at health problems as one of the leading risk factors for low quality of life is health problems. If you're dealing with sickness, you're not enjoying life. So quality of life can go down a notch. And my goal at the Slim Body Laser Spa is, you give me 3 weeks, I can get the fat on its way. I can get you started, depending on how much fat you got, of getting rid of this body fat. Of all of the parameters of health, blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, all these other types of autoimmune problems, cognitive issues, nothing, all of them will get better. All of them get worse if we're overweight. Heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, neurological problems, dementia, they all get worse if you're overweight. They all get worse. Nothing gets better until you lose the weight. You have to lose the weight, and then those problems should start to resolve, because it's not natural for the body to be sick. Health is the natural state. Health is the easy state for the body. The body has to go out of its way to maintain a sick, diseased problem. It's struggling. And by getting rid of body fat and losing weight, if you can do it, you have a better chance at living longer, and you have a much better chance of not having COVID related problems if you were to get sick from COVID. And that's what I'm doing at the Slim Body Laser Spa. I'm using an FDA cleared low-level laser lipo. And it looks something like, a little brochure on it here. There it is. I think he's got me offline, right? We're not on, are we? Well, I'll hold it up anyway. Oh, well, we got the other one here. Where's your Zoom thing? Oh, there it is. Okay. There we go. So that brochure, here, I got to read from it. That brochure talks about the Lapex BCS lipo laser. Refine, reshape, and revive. This is the workhorse, people. This is the machine that I own. I have 7 of them. I've got 3 active rooms. I've got 4 machines just in case. These machines are between $30,000 and $60,000 a piece. And I've been using them for over 11 years. And I had 3 offices at one point, all open at the same time, using just this machine. I closed the Boca office and I closed the Port St. Lucie office to focus on Stewart, but we've always used this machine. So this lipo laser shrinks and melts fat while you lie on your back and listen to music. You can lose 3 to 9 inches of stubborn belly fat. I lost 4 inches of girth in only 4 weeks, lying on my back, applying the laser. My staff applied it for me. And the laser is an FDA cleared, non-invasive, super safe machine, which opens up the fat cells. It does not damage the tissue. It does not create dead tissue. It does not burn tissue. It does not freeze tissue. It does not cause it to shrink or anything like that. This lipo laser, this machine, simply opens up the fat cells. The fat cells release their contents, which is glycerol, fatty acid, and water. Your body relieves it very quickly. The calories you burn is energy. The water you pee out. Every time you apply this laser paddles to your belly fat, you're going to see an inch reduction immediately after the laser comes off. So every day, you do it 3 days a week for 3 weeks. That's 9 sessions. You lose an inch and an inch and a half approximately with each session. That's how we lose 6 to 9 inches. Of course, overeating will ruin your results. Eating improperly can slow down your results. You know, eating smart nutrition, eating properly improves your results at the Slim Body Laser Spa. People that are willing to exercise and be more involved in their overall health and wellness will get better results at the Slim Body Laser Spa. I also found at the Slim Body Laser Spa that without going over nutrition with people, without going over the food issue, some have wonderful food habits, excellent habits. They teach me. Others come in and they are really, really confused about food, about carbohydrates, about proteins, about, fats, good carbs, bad carbs. What about, intermittent fasting, intermittent eating, there's so many different things. So what happened is I decided that with every client that signs up for a 3-week plan at the Slim Body Laser Spa, they get a complete nutritional wellness program, nutritional evaluation with me and my staff. That includes body fat analysis, muscle testing. It includes total body hydration, how hydrated you are. It also includes something called your resting caloric intake. We teach you how many calories you need to consume to maintain and sustain your health and your weight. The BMR is called your resting caloric intake. It is a calculation that we develop by using a machine in the office when new clients come in. You sit in a chair. We put these little electrodes on your foot and on your hand. Put in your age, your weight, your gender, and your body fat percentage, which the machine calculates. And that comes up with a number of how many calories you burn at rest. Until I knew that number, I could never manage my weight until I knew that number. If you know your number, then it's very easy to manage weight because you know your BMR, you know your burn rate. If you don't know your number, if you think that you can still eat 2 Big Macs, a large, super large, extra large soda, a bag of chips, hot dog, and just keep eating and you're putting too many calories in, you can't manage your weight. So at the Slim Body Spa, along with the lipo laser, which is a no-brainer, you just lay on your back, it shrinks fat. The nutrition part, I sit down with you and we go over that. Now, once you have your nutritional program down and you understand it, most people are really good to go because it's not complicated. You see, we're not trying to sell you a bunch of products or pills or auto ship food. We're just trying to see what knowledge you have. We're going to utilize your own knowledge skills of what you know about food. Maybe you've had a lot of experience with it. Maybe you haven't. And from there, we're going to develop some healthy eating plans. And then you're going to be given the guides, the things that I do, the things my staff does to be healthy and to stay fit and also to keep a low body fat. So what is that? Okay. Somebody wants to know exactly what is the lipo laser. How does it, like an explanation, how it works. I can do that. We only got about a few minutes here. So this is directly from one of our brochures at the office that you get when you come in, you sign up, and it starts out, it says lipo laser. The lipo laser at our office uses a low-level diode laser that is applied directly to the skin. Now, diodes emit low-level laser energy, which penetrates the skin and targets the specific adipose or fat cells. It is through this targeted process that the laser is able to stimulate the cell itself into releasing water, free fatty acids, and glycerol. Having released these three compounds, often referred to as triglycerides, the fat cells shrink significantly, resulting in inch loss. Now, of course, my first question is, where does the fat go, right? If you lose inches and the machine somehow caused it to be released, where does it go? Once the free fatty acids and the glycerol are released into the tissue, we call it the interstitial space. The free fatty acids is absorbed by the lymphatic system, transported by the lymph vessels to the lymph nodes. You know where your lymph nodes are, right? They are broken down via lipase, which is an enzyme, and transferred into the circulatory system where the fats can be processed by the liver. Some of the free fatty acids are converted to triglycerides in the liver and returned to the blood. Other free fatty acids combine with oxygen to produce energy. The fat can be used as energy anywhere there is energy needed. The ultimate destination of the released free fatty acids is to the mitochondria of your cells, which is the powerhouse of every cell. Think about that. So these free fatty acids, which have been held by your fat cells in preparation for a starvation, which probably isn't coming. That's why you can't get rid of your fat, because you're not eating a little enough. My laser opens up those specific fat cells that you cannot target with diet and exercise. So if you take your hands, hold your hands up in front as if you're Mamma Mia, you hold your hands up, take your hands, put them down on your abdomen, squeeze the fingers together. If you can squeeze and squish the fat and you can feel the muscle behind it, that's what my laser targets, that layer. Whether it's under your chin, squeezing it around under the armpits, by the back. Maybe it's around your muffin tops if you're a female, or love handles as a guy. Or maybe you're reaching down, you can squeeze it between your thighs. That gushy, squishy fat is what my process destroys it. Just powers through that stuff. It's shocking how fast it comes off. Without any swelling, without any pain. There's no redness. There's no injections to endure. There's no needles to be poked into your body to deal with. There's no downtime. There's no compressive garments or bandages that have to be worn afterwards. You can literally go out to your dinner date the same night and have a 1 to a 2 to a 3 inch loss of circumference in like 2 or 3 weeks. Holy cow. I'm telling you, that's amazing. I never would have believed it could have taken the inches off that fast, but go online, check it out yourself. slimbodylaserspa.com. I have love letters, 60 love letters. We have 600 8x10 love letters. So you can see how well it works. If you really, really want to get in good with me, if you want to me to go, oh, that's so nice. I'm so glad you're here. Read a few love letters, comment on them, send me something in an email that you read some of the love letters, because, you come in and do that, I'll give you a discount. Okay. Let me tell you, I really, really support people that believe in what we do and how we work. And we want to build an army of super healthy, slimming people that when the Faucis and the Burkharts and the National Institutes of Health is looking for a group of people that they can do their testing on, their shots on, and they go to Stewart, they bypass us because we're all so darn healthy. He's like, well, we can't test them. I mean, nothing's going to work. Look how healthy they are. Let's move on. We'll spray them with something, make them sicker. Little chemtrails. So I want to be the group that people look at as the healthiest city in the world here in Stewart, Florida. And I think we can do that one client at a time using the lipo laser to shrink, to reduce, to to tone, to tighten excess belly fat. And at least you got a shot. At least there's a chance. It's something that it's different than insurance. Insurance is something you buy in case you have a problem. This is something that you do to make sure that you stay healthy. Keep your insurance. Don't get me wrong. You might need it, but you'll need it less if you're healthy. So life is good. The laser is, we're there to help you. We got consults all this week. I guess I'm running out of time here. You can lose 3 to 9 inches of stubborn fat while you lie on your back and listen to music. Slim Body Laser Spa, 772-223-5885. $49 Discovery Day. Regular price is $311. Come on in, check it out. This is an introductory offer. Tell them you heard me on the radio. I'll give you some extra pluses and give you a little extra discount and maybe a slap in the back. Not really. We'll take great care of you, okay? Thank you so much for tuning in. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And remember to ask questions about health. Do not accept what's being pumped down the pipe. Keep an open mind and an open heart. And as Evan says, be kind to one another. Thank you so much.